Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for Wacif's Advancing Black Retail Grant Information Session. We're really excited to have so many of you here, and I know there will be others joining shortly as well. So we will get started. Samantha, is my slide visible?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. So just for an overview of how we're going to be spending the next hour or so together, we're going to do a quick overview and introduction of Wacif, because I know not all of you are familiar with our organization. Then we'll cover the Advancing Retail Grant Program overview. We'll go over eligibility criteria, funding uses, exclusions, and we'll go over the timeline, the application timeline, when the grant recipients will be notified. And at the end, we will do a Q&A. So throughout the presentation, if questions occur to you, I encourage you to please add it to the Q&A, and we'll address all of your questions at the very end. Just a quick note about myself and my co-presenter here. My name is Masai Derbe. I'm the program director for Wacif's Enterprising Women of Color DMV Business Center. And I'm joined by my colleague, Samantha.
Hi, my name is Samantha Archibald, and I am the program manager of the Minnesota Avenue Main Street program, located in Ward 7.
And those of you who are on the line with us, please introduce yourselves in the chat and maybe share your business and maybe where you're located. We want to get to know you as well. So if this is your first time attending a Wacif program, just a quick overview of who we are and what we do. Wacif has been around since 1987. We're a 35-year-old organization focused on equity and economic opportunity in underserved communities in the Washington, D.C. area. We invest through knowledge, social and financial capital, and low and moderate income entrepreneurs. And you will see that this grant program is certainly true to that mission. So, like I said, we've been around since 1987, and the three pillars of our work are equitable development, community wealth building, and inclusive entrepreneurship. Okay, my slide is being difficult. So how do we actually do this? We do this through three pillars of our work. The first is that we provide small and micro business loans. So depending on what your business needs might be, you can reach out to one of our advisors, fill out our intake form online to discuss what your capital needs are. Second thing is that we do workshops and trainings. If you don't already follow us on social media, I suggest you do that. Get on our website. We are constantly having workshops throughout the year on all sorts of business-oriented subjects. So I encourage you to keep an eye out on our programming. Finally, we do one-on-one advisory and consulting services. All of this is provided for free. We're a nonprofit. So if you have questions about how to grow your business, please reach out to us and set up an advisory call with one of our small business advisors. So on to the main part of our show today, the Advancing Black Retail Program. So just going over the why of why we're doing this grant program. Despite the growing visibility of entrepreneurship in Washington, D.C., there still exist significant barriers for Black entrepreneurs to experience its benefits, with retail and retail serving entrepreneurs experiencing particular inequities in access to retail and manufacturing opportunities. So we, like I said earlier, we support entrepreneurs through a number of ways. And we're really excited to partner with Walmart for this grant program to really build a supportive ecosystem that enables Black retail and retail serving entrepreneurs to access the tools and resources they need to seize growing opportunities, scale their businesses, and increase competitiveness. And I can't imagine a better time than now to do that. And I'm going to pass it on to my colleague Samantha to talk about the specifics of the grant program. Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to have to pace myself. So Masai, as I get down with each slide, you will go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to get into the application itself. We wanted to start off by talking about program eligibility. So if you are a business on this call today, you must be at least 50% Black owned, and you have to be a retail business. Eligible retail businesses will include beauty entrepreneurs, home-based makers, small retail businesses, and e-commerce businesses. So if you are an online business and you do business online, and the majority of your business is online, or a portion of it is online, you will be eligible for funding. Your business also have to be in good standing with the District of Columbia. And what that means is, for example, if you are not familiar, your business must not owe more than $500 to the District of Columbia. In order for you to verify and to show proof that you are in good standing with the District of Columbia, you will be required to submit a certificate of clean hands. You will have to go through the DC tax office, through DCRA as well, to be able to verify that you do not owe the District of Columbia above $500. And the way how you do that is by going onto their website. What we will do as a follow-up to this presentation, we will provide you, if you are not familiar, with the links to that website where you would get your certificate of clean hands. And your certificate of clean hands must be effective as of October 2021. Businesses applying for this opportunity must also be in business for at least 2 years. 2 years in operations, and you must have a valid DC business license. You can move forward. Okay. Businesses must also be located within Ward 7 and 8. Unfortunately, if you're on this call today and your business is not located within Ward 7 and 8, you would not be eligible for funding. In order for you to check your geographic eligibility for assistance, we are asking you to visit the What's My Ward map in order to verify that. When you get to that website, you would have to enter your address. Thank you, Masai. You would enter your address, and I use an example today. I put in 4020 Minnesota Ave. And as you can see, after you enter your address, you're going to select the check address button. And once you do that, it will populate right underneath what ward you're located in. So in this instance, 4020 Minnesota Ave is located within Ward 7. So you would do that for your specific business address. And again, if for some reason your business address resides outside of Ward 7 and 8, unfortunately, you would not be eligible to apply for this grant opportunity. Okay, so next we're going to talk about retail businesses that are ineligible. This list might seem a bit exhaustive, but I will try my best to go through it as quickly as possible. Following this presentation, we will also provide this list for you as well for your convenience. So if you are an adult entertainment business, including strip clubs, escort services, adult bookstores, or businesses whose principal business is the sale of pornography, you will be ineligible. Tobacco, smoke, cigarette, cigar related retailers or wholesalers will also be ineligible. If you sell firearms, or you're a merchant, a retailer, or a wholesaler who sell ammunition, guns, or anything of that nature, you will also be ineligible. If you are a marijuana related business, we do understand that cannabis is legal. However, if you are a dispensary or any type of marijuana related business, unfortunately, you will be ineligible for grant funds. If you're a massage parlor, sauna, or hot tub facility, you'll also be ineligible, or any other illegal activities. If you are a gambling or a betting activity, or if you're a racetrack, you will also be ineligible. If you are a real estate investment company, or you handle any type of related real estate, so if you're a house flipper and hotel, or a business whose principal source of revenue is rental income, you will be ineligible. If you're a banking or financial institution and you deal with banking, or banking is your central form of business, you will be ineligible for funding as well. If you are a merchant sales organization, or you handle payment services like check cashing services, you will be ineligible for funding as well. Next slide. Okay. Yes. So if you are, as I mentioned, check cashing, payday title type of business, you will be ineligible for funding. If you are a loan broker, if you are bail bonds, a pawn shop, if you handle collections or debt consolidation, if you're a multi-level marketing company based on a pyramid scheme, if you're a nonprofit or a religious organization, church, temple, etc., related to religious activities, you will be ineligible as well. If you are affiliated with a political organization, transportation of hazardous materials, or you handle oil and gas explorations or securities, if you do rideshare, if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, for example, or if you operate a food truck, you will also be ineligible for funding. In regards to the eligible use of funds, eligible businesses can receive up to $10,000. Funding could be used for two main areas. One, working capital. So you can use the grant funding for expenses that are related to labor and payroll, supply chain, paying your rent, business development, training and certifications, as well as marketing. We do recognize during COVID especially that businesses had to go through additional maybe safety trainings or staff development trainings to prepare your staffing and and employees to handle the new changes. So we do recognize that, and we want to be able to support you in being able to provide those training opportunities and development opportunities to your staff. In addition, we can also we will also allow funds to be used for physical improvements to your business establishment. So funds can be used for I would say permanent improvements. So tenant fit outs, permanent fixtures, or any exterior building improvements. We do have to mention that if you are looking to use these funds for physical improvements to your building and you are a tenant on the call and you will be applying on behalf of yourself, if you are renting from a property owner, you will be required to get the permission of the property owner. As a follow-up, if you are awarded funds, we will require you to, as a part of our contract agreement, we will require you to get the property owner's signature to be able to apply for funding for this particular thing, for physical improvements. Next. Okay, preparing your application. So I'm hoping by this point, everyone on the call may have had an opportunity to review or complete an application, or at least review the application. If you have not, we wanted to take this time just to talk about some of the documentation that will be required as a part of your application for funding. As we mentioned, you must be an active, you must have an active business license. So you will have to upload a copy of your business license. In addition to that, we are also requiring that businesses have liability insurance. So you will have to submit a copy of your liability insurance as well. In addition, as I mentioned previously, you will have to submit a copy of your certificate of clean hands, which you can acquire through the DC tax office. In addition to that, we also want to see your business or get a better understanding of who you are. So we are asking for you to submit proof of online presence. So within your application, you will have to provide us with a link to either your business website or to your social media pages. In addition to that, we are also requiring applicants to upload copies of their operating income and expense summaries for 2021. And if you have projections for 2022, we are also asking that you upload those as well. We did check, our application do allow for most file formats to be uploaded. So if you have an Excel document or a Microsoft Word document or a PDF document, you will be able to upload all of those file formats to the application online.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. So now let's talk about the application itself. And so really, again, if you have questions, please keep them coming. Just add them to the Q&A and we'll get to all of them at the end. So we are trying to learn as much as we can about your businesses through the application process. So I'm just going to talk briefly about each of the questions that we're asking for. The first question that you're going to see in the application is to describe your business, including the products and or services you offer. We're also asking how you might have shifted and sustained your business operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. And third, we'll be asking you to show us and tell us how you're going to use the grant funds to grow your business in 2022 and how this grant will help you achieve your business goals. We're also going to ask you how you're planning to use the funds to grow your business in 2022. Samantha already mentioned the eligible use of funds a little bit ago, but if you're planning to use it for personnel costs, staffing, wages and salary, rent, facilities related expenses, you can use it for staff development, you can use it for PPE, you can use it to purchase inventory and equipment, new delivery or online costs. So if you're an e-commerce business, and then and taxes and debt services as well. So you're gonna see a drop down, so you can let us know which areas you're planning to use the funds for once they're received. And I'll add here actually that if you are a fund recipient, at the end, we are going to ask you to submit a report detailing how you ended up using the funds. So this is the start of that. And then the next question will be how the grant might have, or how the grants have impact broader than the direct support of your business. So is it going to provide support for employees, local neighborhoods, customers? We're really just trying to get at the full scale of impact of the potential of this grant. And then finally, we'll ask if your business is currently generating $50,000 or more in annual revenue. So Samantha mentioned that you have to be at least 2 years in operations and $50,000 or more. There is a small caveat to this. If your business is not generating $50,000 or more in revenue, which we'll be able to see from the income and expenses report that we're asking you to include, if you can summarize how you plan to increase revenue using the funds of this grant or other strategies that you have over the next year or over this year to help you reach that $50,000 threshold, we'll also consider that. This is really about helping your businesses grow. So we're asking for 50,000, but there's some flexibility around that. If your business is a rock star and you are on an upward trajectory and see yourself surpassing that in the near future. Okay, and then Samantha will talk about the grant timeline.
Okay, so applications opened on May 12th. Today, we are having our information session where you'll be able to ask questions and get more information about the grants. We plan to close applications on June 23rd. So please take the time out, if you can, not wait to the last minute to complete your application. Just make sure that you get your applications in. And we plan to send out award notifications at the end of July. So we just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to get an idea of, what the grant process look like and when you are expected to hear back. about your award.
And I would really emphasize the application close. We are accepting applications on a rolling basis. So the earlier you do your application, the better. So if you're on this call, I urge you to do your application as soon as possible. And because once we have reached the number and once we've distributed the funds, we are not going to be accepting applications. So get those applications in early rather than later. And I know we have some questions in the chat. Okay, Samantha, I can read the first question if you want to take it. How would an e-commerce business show proof of being located in Ward 7 or 8?
For that instance, I would say you would have to show proof of your home address. We definitely want to encourage, we want to encourage e-commerce businesses also because we recognize, especially during COVID, there has been an influx or a growth in e-commerce businesses during the pandemic. But we're asking that you show proof of address of where you're actually located and where you're operating your business out of. That would help us to identify if you are located in Ward 7 and 8.
Okay, and then we have a question that says, this is a technology small business that operates at home. Are we available to apply to the grant? And yes, that answer to that is yes. If you're an at-home based retail business that is operating online, you are eligible to apply for the grant.
But you have to be able to show, at minimum that you have an EIN number. We want to be able to see that you are incorporated or you're a sole proprietor or you're an LLC. You have to be able to show proof of that. So if you have maybe copies of your article of incorporations or a copy of the IRS form that has your EIN number on it, I think that would be really helpful in order for us to verify that you are an active business.
Wonderful. Okay, and then we have one question that says, I just came in. Can someone send me a template operating income and expenses summary? Okay, if you didn't receive any income in 2021, but you do have your expenses. Okay, so operating income and expenses, this doesn't need to be something that's very, very elaborate. If you didn't have income in 2021, but you know your expenses, you can just submit a list of expenses that you had for 2021 or 2022. And then, as I said earlier, if you haven't reached the 50,000 in revenue threshold that we mentioned, you can attach a document or answer in the grant application of your plan for how by 2022 or 2023, you will in fact be able to reach $50,000 in revenue. But if you have additional questions or specific questions, there's an email address that you can contact me and Samantha. It's retailgrant@wacif.org. Kennedy, if you can put that in the chat, we can answer follow-up questions that way as well. And then Samantha, I think this question is more suited for you, but how does the business license apply to an e-commerce company?
As I indicated, because you're an e-commerce business, if you don't have an active business license with DCRA for an actual brick and mortar retail business, we're asking that you again show proof that you are a registered business. So a copy of your articles of incorporation, your EIN number, and because usually on one of those documents, you have to indicate your business address. We need to see proof of where your business is actually registered, your business address. And so it has to be registered in an address that is located within Ward 7 or 8. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, and the next question, we're an e-commerce company, but looking to build a physical space this year in Ward 7. Would we be able to apply for the grant? And we have the land, but we'll be building this year. Yes. First of all, congratulations. That's very exciting. And yes, the short answer is yes, you're definitely eligible to apply. As Samantha said earlier, if this is, if this might include you, including documentation from the landlord or anything, if this is something, if you're applying for funds specifically related to the retail space. But otherwise, definitely e-commerce, looking to go into a brick and mortar business is definitely eligible for this program. Keep those questions coming. This time is definitely for you to ask any questions that you have. I'm not seeing any more in the Q&A, but I want to give people a couple of minutes to add questions if they have any. Okay, hearing none, unless anybody has burning questions that they want to add in the Q&A, we will be wrapping this up, and the email address for the retail grant is being dropped. I think it will be dropped in the chat shortly, and you also have our contact information on the grant page as well. So somebody asked, can we contact you? Yes, we're going to drop the email address in the chat shortly. Okay, we actually see one more question that came in. Can the funds be used towards a building? Samantha, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, yes. As I indicated earlier, you can use the funds towards physical improvements, exterior improvements, as well as interior improvements. It has to be permanent. So if it's a structure that can be moved, i.e. furniture like chairs, that would not be eligible. But if you are, building out, like building out a bathroom, or you need to repair a roof, or you need to put shelving, like permanent shelving, or a bar, anything that's that's permanent, that's going to be a permanent fixture to the building, will be eligible. And that's why we ask that you try your best in a narrative to explain what you're going to be doing. I would say, in addition to that, for those of you who are considering physical improvements, we will be requiring just a little bit more of you when we get to the point of the contract agreement. As a part of the contract agreement, we will require you to provide us basically a narrative and breakdown of your scope of work, of what you're going to be doing. It doesn't have to be extensive, just straight to the point, narrative, bullet points, a chart, a table that outlines all of the elements of the renovation project and how much it's going to cost, and basically associating it with the dollar amount. So if we give you $5,000, for example, if you're able to show in a narrative, how you're going to use that $5,000 for those building improvements, that's what we're going to require of you. So people who are doing physical improvements, we will require just a little bit more information so that we have a clear understanding of what you're doing to make sure that you're eligible for funding. But that will not come until the contract grant agreement stage. At this juncture, we're not asking for that because there's no option within the application to upload that type of information. That will be required once you get your grant award letter.
Actually, following up to the comment about grant award letter, we have a question about how and when funds will be dispersed. So as we mentioned when we looked at the timeline, applications are going to close on June 23rd. Grant award notifications will be sent out by the end of July. If you're selected as a grant recipient, you're going to get a grant agreement from us. and a form asking for your ACH information so we can make that payment, and detailing what the expectations are for grant recipients, including reporting requirements. So you'll receive all of that by the end of July, and funds will be distributed in August. And so go ahead.
There is a question in the chat about modules, specifically prefabricated buildings. In that case, I'm not sure if you are the tenant or if you are the property owner, but either way, you're gonna have to show us that prefabricated building, one, the address associated with that property is affiliated to your actual business. I would say in addition to that, prefab houses are, most of the time they have like a permanent, foundation, and so as long as it's not movable and you can, again, for improvements, for people who are doing physical improvements, that's going to require just a little bit more explanation about your project. But I'm just hoping that I answer your question. But once we get to that point, to answer your question, if you do have a prefab building, as long as it's permanently attached to the land that's affiliated with your business address, you should be eligible to apply.
Okay, and I see we have received a couple of questions about how we're planning, or if we're planning to share the presentation. Yes, you will be getting an email with a recording of the presentation, as well as a copy of the slides to refer to after this. Okay, and I see one more question. Are you able to look over our applications if we request before we submit? Unfortunately, due to the high level of applications and the number of applications we're going to receive, me and Samantha are not going to be able to provide revisions before applications are submitted. But if you have general questions about eligibility or some of the things we've covered today, we can certainly do a call about that. But I apologize, we will not be able to review applications in advance. Okay, I think unless I missed something, Samantha or Kennedy, I think we've covered all of the questions that have been received. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us today. As I said, you can reach out to us over email. Both my email and Samantha and the retail grant email have been included in the chat. You can also find it at the on the page for the grant application, which is listed at the bottom here. And we wish you all best of luck in your applications. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.